Imagine waking up one day and realizing you've been living only at half your power. Every time you hesitated, complained, or feared failure, weakness was quietly winning. Most people think weakness is something you're born with, but the truth is, it's something you build times every single day through the habits you allow. When I was younger, I wasn't this unstoppable force you see in movies or quotes. I was just a man who decided that weakness would no longer live in me. I trained not just my body, but my mind, my emotions, my entire being. I learned that strength is not a gift. It's a decision you make every morning when no one's watching. So let me tell you what I've learned, the times 5 daily habits times that will kill every form of weakness inside you. Habits that turned me from a struggling fighter into an unbreakable force of nature. If you practice them, your mind will harden, your focus will sharpen, and fear will stop recognizing you. Let's begin, because the war against weakness starts times right now. Asterisk 1. Start every morning with purpose. Every morning, the moment you open your eyes, life gives you 2 choices: to drift or to direct. Most people wake up and immediately hand their mind over to the world. They grab their phones, scroll through other people's lives, and let noise decide how they feel. But the strong, the disciplined, they begin by commanding their mind before the world does. Because the first voice you listen to every morning determines who you will be that day. When I was training, I made it a ritual to wake up in silence. No distractions, just breath, stillness, and awareness. I used to lie there and ask myself a single question: what am I becoming today? That question created a spark of direction. It reminded me that every sunrise is an invitation to become stronger than yesterday. That one moment of reflection shaped the way I moved, spoke, and trained throughout the day. You see, weakness loves confusion. It grows when you don't know what you're aiming for. But purpose, even a small one, kills confusion instantly. When you rise with purpose, you rise with clarity. You stop reacting to life and start leading it. You stop waiting for good days and start creating them. When you wake up, don't rush into chaos. Sit up straight. Breathe slowly and deeply. Feel the air fill your lungs. That's life entering you again. Say to yourself, today, I will live intentionally. I will create, not complain. I will act, not react. This simple act turns your morning into a ritual of power. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you build through awareness. It doesn't have to be grand. Maybe your purpose today is to be kinder. Maybe it's to train harder, to learn something new, or to simply stay calm no matter what happens. What matters is that you choose it consciously. When you give your morning direction, the rest of your day follows your command. Weakness fades when your mind knows where it's going. A person who starts with purpose carries an invisible strength, one that no challenge, no insult, no fear can easily shake. Because when you live with intention, every action becomes meaningful. Every breath becomes a reminder that you are not a victim of the day, you are the author of it. So don't just wake up. Rise with intention. The strong don't start the day waiting for motivation. They create it. They don't hope for good energy. They become it. Purpose sharpens your mind like a blade, and weakness cannot survive in a heart that begins each morning knowing exactly who it's becoming. 1. Train your body. Train your mind. Weakness doesn't always begin in the mind. Sometimes it starts in the body. A tired, undisciplined body weakens the spirit. But when you train your body, you don't just build muscles, you build the foundation for your mental strength. Your body is the temple that holds your mind, and if that temple is weak, your thoughts will crumble under pressure. When I trained, I wasn't chasing perfection. I wasn't trying to look strong. I was training to become strong from the inside out. Every punch, every kick, every repetition was a battle between my limits and my will. There were days I didn't feel like training, days when my body begged for rest, when my muscles screamed, and the floor beneath me felt heavier than ever. But I pushed anyway, not because I wanted to prove something to others, but because I refused to surrender to weakness. You must understand this. The moment you stop challenging your body, you invite weakness to take root. Laziness is not a rest. It's slow self-destruction. The body that doesn't move begins to decay, not just physically, but mentally. When your blood doesn't flow, neither does your focus. When your heart doesn't race, neither does your passion. Training doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a gym filled with machines. Nature itself can be your teacher. Run, stretch, breathe, Move, use your own body weight as resistance. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the air against your skin, and remind yourself that you are alive. Every drop of sweat is proof that you are fighting back against your old self. Every time you choose movement over comfort, you tell weakness, you don't live here anymore. But here's the truth most people ignore: training your body is not separate from training your mind. They are one. When your muscles burn and your lungs scream, your mind whispers, stop. And that's when the real training begins. That's when you choose to silence the voice of weakness and awaken the warrior within. Every time you overcome that inner resistance, you expand your mental strength. You learn endurance. You learn discipline. You learn that pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. When I trained, I didn't focus only on technique. I focused on control. Control over my body, my emotions, my reactions. Through physical discipline, I discovered mental freedom. Because when you master movement, you begin to master thought. Weakness thrives in comfort. It loves when you take it easy, when you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But strength is built in discomfort. It's built when you train on the days you don't feel like it. It's built when you finish that last rep, even when your mind says you can't. That's when you grow. So move every day. Push your limits. Don't wait for motivation. Create it with movement. Let your training become your meditation, your discipline, your proof that you're stronger than your excuses. When you train your body, you're teaching your mind that quitting is not an option. You're reminding yourself that no matter how heavy life feels, you can always push a little further. In time, you'll realize that strength isn't about lifting weights. It's about lifting yourself every time you fall. It's about showing up again and again, even when it hurts. That's how weakness dies, through sweat, through struggle, through your refusal to stop. 2. Eliminate emotional reactivity. Weakness doesn't always live in your muscles most of the time. It hides inside your emotions. It's that instant reaction when someone disrespects you. It's the anger that burns before logic has a chance to speak. It's the fear that makes you hesitate when you should act. Emotional reactivity is the silent killer of strength because it gives away your power before you even realize it. I've seen men who could break bricks with their fists yet fall apart when someone insulted them. I've seen warriors lose their focus, not because their opponent was stronger, but because their ego got involved. The moment you let your emotions control you, you stop being the master of yourself. That's when weakness wins quietly, invisibly. When I was younger, I used to react quickly. Someone's words, a challenge, a slight disrespect. I'd let it trigger something inside me. But with time and self-awareness, I learned that true power has nothing to prove. A person who is truly in control doesn't need to react. They observe. They understand. They decide when and how to respond. That's real mastery. Weakness reacts instantly. Strength pauses. That pause is the gap between destruction and control. When you can stand in that space, between what happens and how you choose to respond, you become untouchable. That space is where wisdom lives. That's where peace begins. Every time you react out of anger, you hand your power to someone else. You allow their behavior to dictate your state of mind. Think about that: they win without even trying, simply because you couldn't master yourself. But when you respond calmly, with purpose and understanding, you disarm them. You remain the one in control. To eliminate emotional reactivity, you must first observe your triggers. What makes you lose control? Who brings out the worst in you? Once you know these triggers, don't avoid them, study them. Each one reveals where you're still weak. When I realized that someone's insult could make me angry, I didn't blame them. I trained myself to detach from it. Their words were noise. My reaction was the only thing that had power. Weak people believe that reacting fast shows strength. But the truth is, stillness is harder. Staying calm when everything inside you wants to explode, that's strength. When the mind is silent, the body follows. When emotions serve you instead of enslave you, no situation can break you. So how do you train this control? Just like you train your body with repetition. Every time you feel anger rising, breathe deeply and delay your response. Don't suppress it, understand it. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping me or controlling me? That one question can change everything. I used to visualize my emotions as waves. Some were calm, others were storms. But I learned that even the biggest wave eventually returns to stillness. If you don't jump into it, If you just let it pass, peace will always return. You don't need to fight your emotions, you need to observe them until they lose their grip. Remember this, control doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let feelings control you. When you can stay centered while others lose their balance, you become someone that nothing and no one can shake. True strength is not measured by how hard you can hit, but by how calmly you can stand when life hits you. When your emotions obey you, your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. That's when weakness dies. That's when you become truly free. 3. Live with relentless consistency. Everyone wants to be strong. Everyone wants success, mastery, peace of mind, but very few are willing to pay the price that consistency demands, because consistency is not exciting. It's not glamorous. It's not a sudden burst of energy that lasts for a week. It's the quiet, repetitive, unshakable discipline to do what needs to be done, especially when no one is watching, when motivation is gone, and when your body screams to stop. When I was training, I repeated the same movements thousands of times, the same punch, the same kick, over and over again. People would ask me, "Don't you get bored doing the same thing?" And I would say, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." That was not just a quote, it was my truth, because mastery is not born from variety. It's born from repetition with awareness. Consistency is what separates the weak from the strong, the dreamers from the doers. The weak wait for motivation, the strong build systems. Motivation is emotional. It changes like the weather. One day you feel inspired, the next you feel empty. But consistency doesn't care how you feel. It only demands that you show up. That's how strength is built, not in sudden moments of greatness, but in daily acts of discipline. Think about it. A drop of water seems powerless, but when it falls continuously, it carves through stone. That's what consistency does. It cuts through your excuses, your fears, your doubts. It builds a path so strong that even chaos can't shake it. But it takes patience. It takes the willingness to be ordinary for a long time before you become extraordinary. When I trained, I didn't wait for the right mood. I didn't ask myself, "Do I feel like it today?" The answer didn't matter. I showed up anyway, because I knew if I only trained when I felt like it, I'd never grow beyond my moods. Every time I trained when I was tired, I was building a mind that refused to break. Every time I practiced when I didn't want to, I was killing weakness silently. Consistency is also about integrity. It's about doing what you said you would do, even when no one will know if you don't. That's how you build self-respect. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity as someone who can be trusted not by others, but by you. That's the foundation of inner power. The problem is, people chase speed, not depth. They want results fast, and when they don't see progress, they quit. But progress doesn't always show up immediately. Sometimes it hides in the small improvements you can't yet see. Sometimes it's buried in your effort, waiting to reveal itself when you least expect it. The strong understand this, that consistency is faith in motion. You keep going, not because it's easy, but because you trust the process even when the outcome isn't visible. You don't build mastery in a week. You don't destroy weakness in a month. You build and destroy, one choice at a time. You show up, you fail, you learn, and you show up again. And one day, without realizing it, the same things that once felt hard become natural. That's when you realize you've changed, not through sudden transformation, but through daily evolution. Let me tell you something. Success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency over time. Anyone can give everything for a short burst, but only the truly strong give their best every day, even when life feels heavy. That's what builds unbreakable strength. So, make a promise to yourself not to be perfect, but to be present. To show up, even when no one claps. To practice even when you're exhausted. To stay focused even when results are slow. Be patient with your growth. The weak want reward now. The strong build habits that bring reward for life. Every repetition, every routine, every disciplined day is like a brick. Alone, it may look small, but over time, it becomes a fortress that nothing can tear down. That's what relentless consistency creates, a foundation so strong that weakness can't survive in your world anymore. Remember, greatness isn't built in a day, it's built daily. Keep showing up, even when it feels pointless. Keep moving, even when no one sees. That's how legends are made. That's how weakness dies, not by force, but by persistence. 4. Feed your mind, starve your doubts. The most dangerous form of weakness doesn't live in your body, it lives in your thoughts. Your mind can be your greatest weapon or your most destructive enemy. What you feed it every day determines which one it becomes. You cannot fill your head with fear, gossip, and negativity and expect strength, peace, and confidence to grow. What you allow inside your mind either builds you or breaks you. There is no middle ground. When I was building my philosophy of martial arts and life, I realized something profound. The body follows the mind. Every movement, every strike, every decision begins first as a thought. If the thought is weak, the action will be weak. If the thought is powerful, the body becomes unstoppable. That's why I always said, as you think, so shall you become. Your life is the physical reflection of your mental diet. You must learn to protect your mind the way a warrior protects his weapon. You wouldn't hand your sword to a stranger, so don't hand your attention to meaningless noise. Every word you hear, every video you watch, every person you listen to, all of them shape your inner world. Ask yourself daily, what am I feeding my mind? Because what you feed it, you eventually believe. And what you believe becomes your reality. If you constantly feed your mind self-doubt, you will live like someone who doesn't deserve victory. If you feed it excuses, you'll become an expert in failure. But if you feed it knowledge, wisdom, and courage, you'll start thinking like a champion long before the world calls you one. Weakness grows in ignorance. Strength grows in understanding. When I studied philosophy, psychology, and martial arts, I wasn't just training my body, I was expanding my awareness. I wanted to understand why people think the way they do, why fear controls them, why belief can move mountains. Because once you understand the mind, you understand the root of power. A person who knows how their mind works can never be manipulated by fear, anger, or doubt. But feeding your mind isn't just about reading books, it's about surrounding yourself with energy that elevates you. Pay attention to the people you spend time with. Some conversations drain you, others ignite you. Some friends reinforce your fears. Others remind you of your strength. The people around you are also food for your mind. Choose them wisely, because their energy becomes part of your inner voice. And remember, what you consume is not only external, it's also what you tell yourself when no one is listening. The words you whisper in your mind are seeds. Say, I'm not good enough, and you'll grow in security. Say, I can learn, I can improve, and you'll grow confidence. The mind listens to everything you repeat. Over time, your self-talk becomes your identity. So speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply respect. Doubt will always visit, that's part of being human. But you don't have to invite it to stay. When doubt enters your mind, don't argue with it, replace it. Replace it with effort, with faith, with action. You can't think your way out of weakness. You must train your mind out of it. Study something new every day. Reflect on your thoughts. Question what you believe and why. Every moment you challenge your mind to grow, you shrink your fears. I used to carry a small notebook wherever I went. Whenever I had a new realization about life, about fighting, about discipline, I'd write it down. That habit strengthened my awareness. It taught me that knowledge is not just information, it's transformation. It doesn't matter how much you know, what matters is how deeply you understand it and how courageously you apply it. So feed your mind with truth, not with noise. Watch things that educate you. Listen to words that inspire you. Read about those who lived with strength and wisdom. Don't spend your mental energy on things that make you smaller. Every time you feed your mind garbage, you weaken your focus. But every time you feed it purpose, you sharpen your edge. Weakness is nothing but a mind that has forgotten its power. Strength is the mind that remembers. Remind yourself every day that you are capable of learning, evolving, and mastering your inner world. The body will follow. If you want to become unshakable, build a mind that cannot be poisoned by fear or doubt. Keep your thoughts clean, your focus sharp, and your learning constant. Because the mind is like a garden. If you don't plant flowers, weeds will grow by themselves. So feed your mind discipline, peace, and purpose. Starve it of self-pity, comparison, and fear. When your mind becomes a fortress of clarity, no external force can defeat you. That's how you kill weakness, not by fighting the world outside, but by mastering the world within. 5. Face discomfort until it feels like home. Weakness hides behind comfort. It lives in the soft spaces of your life, in the easy choices, the excuses, the moments when you say, "I'll do it later." Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you strengthen your weakness and silence your potential. But the moment you begin to face discomfort, not as an enemy but as a teacher, everything in your life begins to change. When I trained, I didn't seek comfort. I sought challenge. I pushed myself to the point where my body trembled and my mind wanted to quit. I wasn't trying to punish myself. I was trying to train my spirit to endure, to expand, to adapt. Because the truth is, growth never happens inside your comfort zone. Growth happens in that exact moment when your muscles burn, your lungs ache, and your mind says, "Enough." That's when your real strength is being formed, not in pleasure, but in pressure. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid it in training, in relationships, in work, in life. But the more you run, the smaller your world becomes. You start living like a prisoner inside invisible walls that your fears built for you. The strong don't run from discomfort, they walk straight into it and make it familiar. They make it their environment, their fuel, their home. You have to understand, discomfort is not pain without meaning. It's pain with a purpose. Every time you face it, you are rewiring your mind. You are teaching yourself that difficulty doesn't destroy you, it defines you. I used to push myself so hard that my body screamed to stop. But in that pain, I discovered something powerful. The mind quits long before the body actually needs to. Most people never find that out because they never go far enough. You must learn to stay when it gets hard. Stay when you're tired. Stay when you're afraid. That's how you kill weakness, by outlasting it. Because weakness only wins if you surrender early. Every time you push 1 second longer, 1 rep further, 1 breath deeper, you steal strength away from weakness and give it to yourself. Discomfort is also emotional. It's not just in training, it's in facing truths you've been avoiding, in letting go of people who drain your energy, in starting over when you fail. Those are also workouts for your soul. When you do what's hard emotionally, you build resilience that no one can take from you. Most people think courage is the absence of fear. It's not. Courage is the decision to keep going despite fear, to move forward even when your legs shake. When you begin to love discomfort, something magical happens. Life stops controlling you. You stop saying, "I can't handle this," and start saying, "Let's see what I'm made of." That shift changes everything. You start using pain as power, obstacles as training, and hardship as preparation. You stop asking for an easier life and start asking for a stronger mind. Weakness whispers, "Stay safe." Strength replies, "Let's grow." Weakness says, "You've done enough." Strength says, "You're just getting started." That's the internal battle every day, and every time you choose the harder path, you win a piece of yourself back. When I was developing my martial arts philosophy, I realized something. The ultimate goal is not to fight others, but to overcome the self. Your fears, your doubts, your laziness, that's your true opponent. Every time you face discomfort, you're fighting that invisible enemy. You're telling your inner weakness, "You will not control me." And over time, something extraordinary happens. The things that once terrified you start to feel normal. The pain becomes familiar. The discipline becomes natural. The effort becomes effortless. That's when you've transformed. That's when discomfort becomes your home. Because comfort never made anyone great. It only builds fragile strength, the kind that breaks under pressure. But discomfort, it builds power that lasts. It teaches you to stay calm in chaos, to move with clarity in pain, to remain focused when everything around you falls apart. So seek discomfort. Wake up early even when you don't feel like it. Train when your body wants to rest. Speak truth when your voice trembles. Chase the things that scare you, not the things that soothe you. And every time you face fear, remind yourself this is how warriors are made. Discomfort is the forge where character is built. Stand in that fire long enough, and weakness will melt away. What remains will not be someone who fears life, but someone who commands it. Someone who doesn't wait for strength to arrive because they became it. When you face discomfort until it feels like home, you stop seeking escape and start seeking evolution. And that's when you'll realize the strongest version of you was never hiding in comfort. It was waiting on the other side of resistance, asking, "How much are you willing to endure to meet me?" Weakness doesn't disappear in a day, it dies slowly. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, self-control over reaction, and purpose over distraction. Every habit you build, every challenge you face, every moment you push through pain is a quiet declaration that says, I am no longer at war with myself. I am becoming who I was meant to be. When I look back on my own journey, I realize that my strength didn't come from talent. It came from how I lived each day. It came from the mornings I trained when I was exhausted, from the nights I stayed studying when others were asleep, from the times I failed and still showed up again. Every scar on my body, every doubt I overcame, every uncomfortable moment, they were all my teachers. They taught me that real power is not about domination, but about mastery of self. Weakness isn't your enemy, it's your raw material. It's the part of you waiting to be shaped by discipline. The same way steel is forged in fire, the human spirit is forged in struggle. You don't destroy weakness by hating it. You destroy it by outgrowing it. Every time you keep your word, every time you control your emotions, every time you train when it hurts, you are sharpening your blade. Remember this truth: life will never stop testing you. The world will always throw distractions, pain, and challenges your way. But strength isn't built in the absence of those things, it's built because of them. When you stop running from difficulty and start meeting it face to face, you stop being a victim of life and start becoming its master. So live these principles every single day. Start your mornings with purpose. Train your body and mind like sacred tools. Control your emotions, stay consistent, feed your thoughts with wisdom, and welcome discomfort like an old friend. Over time, these habits won't just make you stronger, they'll make you free. Because the ultimate victory is not winning against others. It's conquering the parts of yourself that once held you back, the laziness, the fear, the doubt, the hesitation. When those fall away, what remains is clarity, confidence, power. That's when you stop chasing strength because you've become it. As I've always said, do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. And when you start living that way, no weakness can survive within you.